Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Sue, our new Zone 3 trustee.
And that's how the Nampa School Board filled a 2-month vacancy. Beating out a crowded 6-person field, the 4 current Nampa trustees selected Jason Sue to join their ranks. The position opened after Tracy Pearson resigned from the school board back in June for personal reasons. And while we don't know what those personal reasons might be, we do know her personal views on why she wanted to be on the school board in the first place back in 2021. Well, we know from her campaign page and in a questionnaire for the Idaho Freedom Foundation, she laid the foundation of her platform like this. She's anti-masks, she's anti-social emotional learning, anti-critical race theory, which isn't part of any K-12 curriculum in Idaho anyway, and she does not support transgender people using the bathroom of their choice. She also voted to ban 22 books from the Nampa School District libraries. And she took it upon herself to bring religion into that argument.
I have to bring up the Bible because I hate to hear the Bible compared to those books, because America's was based on the Judeo-Christian, the Bible, and there's a lot of good. These books have no good.
And just like that, 22 books are banned from Nampa school libraries forever. And that view extended beyond books for Pearson, as she made clear in early discussions of the district's gender inclusion policy, Policy 2050.
We need to encourage the healthy bodies that these children were born into, and that's what we need to encourage and focus on, because the mind is a powerful tool, and we need to make sure that we're speaking truth to these children. That's why this is so imperative, and I'm just appalled that we're even having to debate such a thing.
Well, she doesn't anymore, and neither does the school board, because similar to Florida's Don't Say Gay law, the district passed the policy weeks later. We bring all that up to highlight the stark contrast Pearson was to her replacement. Jason Sue is very familiar with marginalized groups and actually works at the Meridian Library District. He knows exactly where he stands on both topics. Here's Andrew Bartline.
Sometimes you really only need one reason. But Jason Sue has a trilogy.
I've got some skin in the game. 3 children that attend public schools. I saw some of the things happening, and I want to be part of it.
From the outside looking in, decisions that directly impact his kids.
One of the most controversial things is obviously the banning of books.
In total, 24 that were banned back in 2022. Nampa removed critically acclaimed novels and modern classics alike. Ask Sue.
Yeah.
He's actually read some of them.
The Kite Runner. I never read the book, and I read the book. I thought this is a beautiful story of someone's experience being in a war-torn country, having to immigrate to a new country and learning culture and having their parents do the same thing. So the beauty and the character of our country is everyone has their story to tell. And I would never want to be the person that says you can't hear this person's story for whatever reason.
The reason in Nampa relates to sexual content. Those against these books call them pornography at worst, or books with no value at best. That includes Sue's predecessor.
I never knew Trustee Pearson. I understand that there were people who found her very controversial or did not agree with her.
Number 6 and 7 on that.
A Golden Coast transplant herself,
Trustees.
Pearson campaigned on keeping California out of Idaho's politics. It's ironic, now twice.
Born and raised in California, don't hold that against me. I left about 12 years ago. I've always considered myself a small town conservative who was born and raised in a gigantic city.
Sue's appointment comes by bridging the gap between the current board, drawing support from ends in opposition.
Jason, based on similar to Trustee Kirkman, which rarely ever happens, that we agree on things.
It's a skill he wants to continue sharing with the board.
It is a conversation I would like to continue having to see if we can find some kind of common ground on a lot of this stuff.
Because while he's late to the table, Sue's not convinced the conversation's finished. And he might be flipping
core tenet
to the next chapter.
As it comes down to a First Amendment rights issue, and I believe everyone should have access to materials.
It's clear the confusion. There was talk of 23, 24 books. It's 22 exactly, to correct myself there. Sue says he isn't exactly positive how that process would work to readdress those 22 books banned by the school board, because they use the word forever when they made that decision. And he isn't officially sworn until September 18th either. His goals include teacher retention and funding as well, and he includes passing bonds, levies to maintain and improve district facilities to be a huge part of that, Brian. So those are sort of his prongs he's connected to.
So you spent some time talking about these books, but you also talked to him about a couple other things. Like, what did he have to say about marginalized groups? You know, we have the what's recently happening with Nampa and the brown pride T-shirts and even LGBTQ issues.
He said from his experience, his kids have been called yellow in public schools. So he brought that up during the interview process. We didn't dig into that too deeply, but he has had experience with that, of being treated because of your race in a negative way. And his way of addressing that really in the interview process during that public meeting was, you know, you have to have tough skin in this world, was kind of the way he phrased it.
Okay, so we talked about this one, and then earlier this week we talked about what's happening in West Bonner County School District, kind of a pushback, if you will, maybe a little bit of a correction, a course correction when it comes to some of these school boards. We're seeing some of these far right or further right people kind of getting ousted, or at least replaced in this case, by somebody not quite like them.
Yeah, on the surface level, seemingly significantly more central. We talked about that recall we saw up in the West Bonner County School District.
Yep.
Yeah, a stark contrast, a very different tone from when you hear him talk about this concern about content in libraries compared to Pearson, his predecessor.
Yeah, well, you heard a lot of people being vocal about it during the pandemic especially. Now people are getting a taste of what that might look like, and maybe they're saying, not what we really wanted.
Yeah, and the interesting part too is there are two board members, we brought it up in the story there, that really haven't voted together on things many times, and they kind of laughed about it. We both like this Jason Sue guy, even though they're in opposition most of the times on the board. So we'll see how it plays out. He should start on the 18th.
All right, thanks, Andrew.